Radio Jones on iTalk FM.
Welcome back, and just 20 minutes before 7 o'clock, and time for my final guest today. We're going over to Brighton in the United Kingdom to meet Amy Anslow, who's one half of the pair of sisters who are starting a brand new idea of ethical supermarkets in the United Kingdom. Good afternoon, Amy.
Hello, Pippa.
Thanks very much for joining us today on Radio Jones.
You're very welcome.
Thank you. Now, I feel a bit bad, actually, that I'm leaving Ruth out of this, because certainly this venture is a venture, I assume, dreamt up and carried out by both you and your sister Ruth.
Yes, we've both been fully involved right since the beginning when we started work on this about 2 years ago. So yes, it's certainly a collaborative effort, but we've had a great deal of help from others as well. So we can't claim all the credit, but certainly we're both equally involved. Yeah.
Well, it's very, very interesting for anybody who many people obviously won't know what we're talking about. Please, would you explain what this is? First of all, its inception, how you dreamt up the idea, and why.
Yes, we've both had very different work paths up until now. Ruth was global marketing manager for the Sara Lee Corporation, in fact based in Spain during that time. And my background is in the third sector and public sector, working on projects involving behavioural change. And when I first moved to Brighton, I decided I'd like to do something a bit different and started thinking about what those options might be. And I'd become aware of a direct trade coffee company in Manchester, where I'd previously been living, and was keen to introduce their product to a Brighton market. So I set about selling this direct trade coffee from the Aromo Coffee Company and explaining the story and what direct trade was and why it's important and how it goes beyond fair trade. And Ruth came over for a visit, and we started talking about the fact that the shoppers that I was talking to directly weren't always clear about the issues involved in just that one product, coffee, and that got us interested in what else there was confusion around, particularly in the food industry, which led us to developing an idea or a concept that would help to explain all those issues and give people a way to make better, more sustainable, more ethical choices. And it was over a period of discussions over 6 months or so, and at the end conclusion that we got to was that we would need to be very bold and redesign food retailing and start a supermarket chain for the 21st century that puts human values and democratic business and fairness right at the centre of what it does. So that was kind of the start of it all.
Being very bold, I think, is a little bit of an understatement, isn't it? You're taking on the likes of Morrison's, Tesco's, Sainsbury's. I mean, these are the big boys in the industry.
They are. They're not worried about us at the moment. We're just starting this pilot store in Brighton. We want to test the idea. We want to build on all the information that's been coming out about the supermarkets and the food industry over the last couple of years, which has come into the mainstream consciousness. People are aware of things like squeezing the suppliers, putting dairy farmers out of business, all that horsing around with the burger scandal. Mm-hmm. So these issues are coming into the public consciousness, but the problem is there is no real alternative to the supermarkets. Yes, we can shop locally at independent grocers and butchers and fishmongers and what have you, but in terms of providing a convenient, affordable, familiar environment where people can shop and buy the same sorts of products that they can in the supermarket, but ones that have been sourced ethically, sustainably produced, and where they know that the business operates in a fair way, pays suppliers fairly, pays staff above a living wage, doesn't just exist to make the shareholders rich. I think there's an enormous appetite for that kind of social enterprise.
I think so indeed, Amy, because as you say, that it is possible to source products as you've described, but that does tend to be still a little bit of a luxury choice to perhaps those who are slightly more economically mobile, if you like, and also physically mobile in terms of being able to, if we're lucky enough to be able to access a local farm shop or to be able to pay slightly more for an organic product that is in a high street retail outlet. I mean, we can actually make choices for food, but in terms of actually going shopping on a budget for a family and being able to go to a supermarket and do all your shopping in the same place, it's impossible. We don't have that choice, do we?
At the moment we don't, and you've hit on several things that were our challenges right from the beginning. We knew that we needed, in order to be an antithesis of the way that the supermarkets behave, we needed to address three main areas: confusion, trust and price, and wrap that all up in convenience. So affordability is a huge part of what we're doing. As you say, historically, the better products do attract a premium. They are overpriced in the supermarkets. That is not reflective of the money that goes back to the producers and the suppliers and the people that actually make that food for us. So we wanted to achieve right from the beginning, how do we operate in a new and different way so that we can take customers' money and use it for their benefit, for the benefit of suppliers. And we think we've hit on that in a few ways. One, by operating as a social enterprise so that we don't have to pay shareholders massive dividends. Two, by sourcing more directly with farmers, giving them fairer, longer-term contracts. We are also introducing different revenue streams into the business, giving local business owners the opportunity to sell from within the store and be incubated within the store as they grow their own businesses. And all those kind of new and innovative ways of running a business and looking at how a business model can be different, with the sole purpose being, how do we get this better quality food to people at a price that is more affordable?
Now, in terms of the financing of this venture of yours, you're using something called crowdfunding. Explain, please, what that is. Yeah,
we, as a social enterprise, as a start-up business, it's very difficult to get backing from the mainstream banks. We're involved with Triodos Bank, which is the world's leading ethical bank, which is the right choice for our business. But even then, it's very difficult as a social enterprise starting up to get the investment that you need. There are grants and funds available, but they're not always appropriate for what you're trying to do. So we really wanted hiSbe to be as collaborative a business as possible. And so crowdfunding for us makes sense. Crowdfunding is the opportunity for anybody that has an interest in what you're doing, whether as, in our case, as a potential customer, as somebody who's interested in social enterprise or democratic business, to contribute small amounts of money to receive an immediate return in the form of incentives to help us get the capital that we need to get going. So our crowdfunding campaign is running with a big company based in the UK called BuzzBank, and our offer is very simply, for every £10 that people contribute ahead of the opening of the store to help us get it up and running, we will give them back £12 in discount vouchers. So it's a real sort of incentive to get involved, make it happen, but also receive a very tangible return on that contribution.
So how far down the line are you with your target?
So we have 3 weeks left of our crowdfunding campaign, and this is the crucial time, really. This is the time where we start being able to stress the urgency and having a proper countdown and getting towards the target. We've got 3 milestones in our crowdfunding campaign: £10,000, £20,000 and £30,000. And we're 20% of the way there. We're up to 6,000 just through our networks on Twitter and Facebook. So over the next few weeks, we're really pushing this campaign to give everybody in Brighton and across the UK and around the world, and whoever is interested in this new wave of business, an opportunity to help us, to help make it happen and to do this pilot store. Alongside that, because that doesn't raise all the money that we need, we're also offering loans to people. So typically, if you loaned us £1,000, there would be a 3% return over 10 years, although there's some flexibility with that. And we've also had a number of large equity investors. We've raised £50,000 in equity investment as well.
Now, you sourced your what's the word in English? Local in Spanish. What is it in English? Your premises.
Yes.
You've sourced your premises. So how have you chosen your premises? How logistically placed is it?
The premises was absolutely key, and the location of that premises it's vital that we get it right. We're only going to have one shot at making this impact, and where we put it in Brighton is hugely important. So we took a long time to consider that question, and we found a site that's just at the bottom of London Road, which used to be a thriving high street and is now in a similar state to most UK high streets, lots of card shops and charity shops and takeaways and not much else. But we know from that area that it's enormously densely populated by the kind of people that we want to get shopping at hiSbe. We're not a health food store or a whole food store, so we're not going to that typical demographic. We're looking for people on average incomes, everyday diets, who just want to be able to trust that the food that they're purchasing has been sourced in an ethical way and produced in the most sustainable way possible.
Are you
go on.
Sorry, Amy. Are you confident that you can? So if we take the average shopper's trolley full of food who's feeding a family with children over a week, are you confident that you can source everything that a family will need ethically? I mean, if we've got to talk about cleaning products, we've got to talk about meat products, we've got to talk about sandwich fillers, bread, all sorts of stuff. Are you sure that you can find all of those ethically sourced?
Well, our focus predominantly will be food, although we will do a small range of cleaning products, which is actually quite easy. There are a number of larger brands nowadays that do those kind of products that we can stock. But the key to us doing it and making it affordable comes through partnering with existing brands that we champion within the store. So, for instance, Tradecraft is the largest producer of fair trade products in the UK. And we'll be partnering with them to make sure that we get the right price points and the right products for our customers. But essentially, yes, that's entirely our raison d'etre. How do we, not is it possible, but how do we achieve that goal? And that's what the last 2 years have been spent answering and finding answers for and creating a business model that supports. So an emphatic yes would be my answer to that.
Good girl. And it's interesting. I mean, you said that you started out on this the inception of this venture about 2 years ago, and of course it was only a few months ago that one of the food industry horrors broke, and that was the horse meat scandal. A story like that, or a situation like that breaking, can only have given you the impetus that A, you were doing the right thing, and B, that you have to get this right.
Absolutely. I mean, 2 years ago when we started looking into the kind of consumer data around ethical and sustainable, trying to understand what customers understood of the complexities of the food issue, what they were and weren't interested in, how much information was in the public domain about these things. And we thought, wow, this is going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult to explain ethical choices and sustainable choices in food. But wow, has that job been made a lot easier for us over the last 2 years with things like Jimmy's Giant Supermarket, the People Supermarket, the horse food scandal, Hugh's fish fight. I mean, it seems like barely a week goes by without something in the media about how supermarkets are behaving badly, squeezing suppliers, losing the grip on their supply chain, and exploiting their own staff and other workers elsewhere. So, yes, there has been an enormous momentum shift, I think, over the last couple of years towards people wanting to do the right thing and looking for a place that will help them do that.
And what if I suggest to you that you are playing it safe, perhaps understandably, with Brighton? I mean, I would imagine that kicking this off in a town like Brighton would be very different to kicking it off in somewhere such as Rochdale, for example.
I think that's a very fair point. We moved to Brighton to start the business here. We moved back to Brighton to start the business here. And we always wanted to give ourselves the best crack of the whip. Brighton's a very alternative, forward-thinking place, embraces social enterprise, embraces democratic business. It has had a series of run-ins with bullying supermarkets over the last couple of years. We knew this was the right place to start it. We've always talked about hiSbe having their pilot store here. We think that once the first store opens and people truly understand what the concept is, how it benefits people and how it benefits suppliers, that it will be the case that people across the country, and including Rochdale, will say, we want one of those.
Absolutely. And I must say, I mean, in this climate that we're living in at the moment, with the horror of Monsanto engulfing us and the options that we have as consumers, I think this is just such a wonderful idea and such a brave, very brave idea. I wish you all the best with it. And I would urge anybody listening to go to your hiSbe Facebook page, at least to like you, follow you on Twitter, and start to subscribe to you and follow what you're doing. hiSbe is actually HISBE. The website is .co.uk, and hiSbe stands for
How It Should Be.
How It Should Be. Very innovative indeed. You've been listening to Amy Anslow. We send our regards to Ruth, your sister, who's also 50% of the workhorse behind this. And I hope that we can speak to you soon and get an update on how it's panning out.
Yeah, we'd love to talk to you again. Thank you for having us on.
Indeed. Thank you, Amy. Take care and best of luck.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Lovely stuff, isn't that wonderful? Two girls there who are certainly striving very hard to make a difference, and I just wish them all the best and hope that it comes to fruition for all of them, because certainly that's something that we need in this world. We've got to start, as I said yesterday on the show, the choices that we make with the money that we spend are actually forming the world that we live in, and so it's about time we did take an interest in being given alternative choices whereby we know the impact on the environment and on individuals and communities is going to be a positive one. Right, that's me. Radio Jones is finished for today. You've been listening to me, Pippa Jones, here.